Hi, we're in the historic Dundurn Castle kitchen with Janet Kronick, and we're going to be doing a recipe from a cookbook with an amusing title. It's called The Improved Housewife, published in 1855.
Yep, all those old cookbooks had really cool titles on how to be a better wife and how to be a better cook and domestic cookery. They're wonderful recipes to use. This recipe was so simple, I'm actually going to morph off of it just a little bit. Morph, yeah, that's an old historic word. Squash, if you saw this in the grocery store, you might not know what to do with it. You might go, I'm not buying that, I wouldn't know how to cook it. And maybe you buy it when they cut it up for you, which is fine too. But just take a squash. This is called a Boston marrow. It's like a pumpkin.
Oh, look at that.
And it's got those seeds inside.
Great color.
Look how easily I cut it open. It didn't take much. Take a little bit of the knife around the outside of the seeds. Yes, you get to touch your food. Pull it out. Get rid of those seeds.
Oh, they come right out.
They're coming right out. And you can keep the seeds. You know, you like to eat the pumpkin seeds.
Oh,
you can
yes.
bake them, pull them off the flesh. That takes a little more time, but kids like to squish their fingers through that. Get the seeds out. You can slice them into lengths. Put them on a pan with a little salt and pepper, oil, whatever flavorings you like, and roast them up on a baking pan and put them on the plate when they're cooked, and people will just take it off the skins themselves as they eat it. You can boil them in a pot in nice pieces. These are already skinned. I could eat this right now if it wasn't so, you know, inappropriate. Okay, I'll take
Is that the same kind of squash as
Yes,
this
it's
one?
exactly the same vegetable. Okay. So this is delicious. Put some butter, salt and butter on them, and it'll be just wonderful. Or mash it up and use it in other recipes, or just serve it mashed like you would make mashed potatoes with your favorite herbs.
Delicious.
Green things.
My mother used to serve mashed squash with butter, a little bit of cinnamon on top.
Perfect.
Sometimes a little ginger grated in.
Oh,
on top.
ginger. I love, any flavoring is amazing. Don't look for a recipe. Just look in your fridge and go, I like that, and put it in, and it'll probably taste great. So we're making a cornbread. And that's a very dense bread, and it helps to lighten it up with a little flour. The historic recipe didn't do that. Just cornmeal, squash, and yeast and salt. But we're going to help it out just a little bit. This is about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of the pureed squash, of the mashed squash. And look, there's a chunk, which is okay, because we're not looking for perfection. And you're going to get 2 cups of flour.
Okay.
And
Scoop
we're going to
it up
put
like
it
that.
in. Yep, that's fine.
Just like that.
So equal squash, flour, and cornmeal. We're going to do equal amounts. And that's really quite a good blend.
I like how easy this recipe is.
It's
Just
very
a scoop
easy.
of this, a scoop of that, and away you go.
I need that cup.
All right.
And if you have a broken teacup with the handle that's come off, don't get rid of it. It's perfect for scooping. This is our 1 cup measure. 2 cups of cornmeal. Cornbread has that kind of sandiness kind of texture to it.
I like the crunch.
Yeah, and crunchy. Sometimes they'd crumble it up and put it in milk. Different types of cornbread are, some are made in a cast iron pan and you bake them. Some are made in a baking vessel like we're going to do. You can add some dried fruit to this recipe. Oh, my creaky table, do you hear that? Because I find this recipe is quite plain.
Ah, so the cranberries add a little bit of
That's right.
tartness, but a little
Yep.
sweetness at the same time.
Put a little salt in.
Sure.
I've activated some dry yeast. This is dry active yeast. They would have used a different kind of yeast back then. Just put it in with a little warm water. It's starting to get frothy. This is what's going to let it rise. And you have to let this particular cornbread rise for about, I don't know, wait an hour. It'll almost double in size. But when you let it rise, put it in the vessel that you're going to use, because it'll rise in the vessel. You don't have to play with it again.
Oh, great. This is so much easier than traditional basic bread where you have to
Knead it forever.
and then let it rise. And...
I'm going to get you to make some space here between the squash. Pull the squash aside
Okay.
and bring that other vessel out.
There you go.
I need some liquid. I've underestimated the amount of liquid. Yeah, take the little cup here. There's nothing in there. Just pump it. That would be great. I know we're running out of.
This seems like a really good way of using local food, because I know in the Hamilton area we have a number of farms, and when you go to the farmers market, there's an abundant array of different sizes of squash,
Yep.
different textures, different colors, and I guess the flavors will vary as well.
Well, you don't, and you know, zucchini is a squash, and that's
Yeah.
very moist, and it's a very different texture from a pumpkin. This recipe is calling for pumpkin, and it's a lovely color. Cranberries are my addition.
So in some ways, you can change ingredients up a little bit, but
Yes,
you
you
do
can.
need to stick to some of the basics
Yeah.
here. So here's our finished pumpkin bread, nice, and it looks fantastic. We're serving it with a ground cherry preserve that's made just by cooking ground cherries with a bit of sugar, and here's what they look like when you see them at the farmer's market. That looks fantastic.
It's amazing. It's my favorite thing.
Thanks again, Janet. Thank you for watching, and thank you very much. We'll see you again on Hamilton Live.